Well, it's been a minute since I've done a video update on the Trans Am, but today I also have some good news, and that involves the Malibu. Why did I get stuck on that one? The Malibu! So it is officially beanie weather here in Kentucky. It's a little chilly out. People staring at me in traffic as what? What are you looking at? I'm making a YouTube, dude. Yeah, that's what I thought. Drive away. They didn't drive away. They're just parked there, but I was trying to be tough. I was trying to be tough to this old lady next to me. That's how I feel big about myself. Anyway, we are pulling up to the machine shop to pick up a long block, and then we're heading home to do an update on the Trans Am so you guys can see what's going on up and down all the way around, but not before I vent and cry and scream about how absolutely effed up this long block was. Pretty bad for something that was supposed to be ready to run. Sheesh. The other thing that's I don't use the word awkward. Awkward's not the right word, but like I don't like to film YouTube stuff with people that like aren't on social media, you know what I mean, like a ton, because it's like, what is this idiot doing with this cell phone in his hand videotaping himself? So if you ever wonder like why do you cut away from the machine shop, Logan? Why do you cut away from sorry, I had a cheeseburger earlier, a piece of lettuce is hung up in my uvula. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Back from the machine shop. Oh, look at that unit. Pew. Sick. So I said I was going to give you a rundown on what happened with this engine and what was all masked up. What was masked up with it? There's some masked up stuff with that engine. Hooka. I hate myself. No, what was messed up with this thing, top to bottom. So we'll start at the bottom. So incorrect crank. It was not the right crankshaft. I was told it had a Magnum crank. It had a Compstar shelf crank. So wrong crank. It had the wrong rods. The inside of one of the valve covers looked like a gerbil got a hold of a cutoff wheel and just beat the shit out of everything. So there's obviously some damage at some point internally. It had, they called me to tell me that the balancer was frozen to the crank, like fusion welded to the crank, so that sucked. And then when I brought the heads for them to assemble the long block, because when they found all that stuff with the short block, I'm like, I'm gonna just have you guys do the whole long block. This is Smith's Automotive and Machine in Frankfurt, and thank God for those guys. So they called me after I bring the heads, and they say, well, we got the heads torn down. Got a bent valve, so it had a bent valve. They couldn't get the valve out of the cylinder head when they did their check because it was bent. So that was cool. So if I ever even attempted to run this when I got it pile of shit engine, it would never have gone well. So shout out to Smith's Automotive and Machine in Frankfurt for taking care of me and for finding all these little nuances. Oh, piston to wall was 10 thousandths on the engine before, so that was cool. And that was a nice little surprise. There's many cool, awesome surprises with this ready to run combination that I bought, which is all bullshit. It was not ready to run. It was a pile of junk. And I was blessed with the honor of facilitating and paying for the fixings on all this, which sucks. But now it's not a pile of junk. Now it's a nice piece. I got to paint the block again, but if that's the worst thing I got to do. They killed it for me. Shout out Smith's Automotive and Machine. They absolutely killed it. Stoked. But that's enough crying. I'm done crying about that. There's no crying over spilled big blocks, right? I think that's how the saying goes. So let's talk about the Trans Am. That seems happier, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? It does. It seems happier. Recap. All right, so this is a clip from when I first got the car back. You can see kind of how dingy the engine bay is. Just wires going everywhere. This is turbo feed line I'm holding. I'm jiggling. I don't know what the heck I'm doing in this clip. But if you watched these videos originally, you probably saw this mess. You know what I was dealing with. And now I get to show you what this why do I talk with my hands so much? Have I been doing this the whole time and nobody said anything to me? You guys need to be way meaner in comments. You used to be mean, vicious people. Now you're like, great job, Logan. No, get in there and tell me I'm an idiot. I don't need the fake support. I need the hate. Hate me. Hate me until I love myself. You're the reason Dad left. All right, so you're caught up with that recap video. I probably should pop the hood first, huh? Did a little paint correction on the front half of it, too. Looks decent. Decent look. So, This is what we're dealing with now. Pew! A little bit different, right? Just minor, there's been minor changes under the hood. And if you're wondering, wow, Logan, you really spit shined the paint up. No, I didn't. I repainted the engine bay. So that's why it's so shiny. But I'll get into that in a minute. But the high level overview here is we have an LS3, we have a single 88, we have a TH400, and I'm going to explain kind of the ins and the outs, the things I had to deal with as far as like brackets go for accessories and the turbo kit fitting and all this stuff. So starting at the base level, the engine combination and what we did there. So first and first mostly, the engine is a completely factory stock LS3. So it's like a lower mile LS3, and I pulled it apart, super clean on the inside. The only thing I changed on the engine were the camshaft and the valve train. That's all I changed. It's got a BTR red hot camshaft, which is not meant for turbo, so you're welcome. And then I did BTR shaft rocker kit, BTR push rods, BTR valve springs. It's basically a stock bottom end BTR equipped everything setup now. And it's, again, LS3 based. So I don't know what it's going to handle for power. We're going to find out. Stock head bolts, main bolts, all that stuff is stock. All it has is a cam. And that's the only thing that will lend a hand in horsepower is the camshaft. The shaft rockers, all that stuff is stability related. It's not related to max horsepower, but we have a stable valve train and I have a BTR camshaft in this now. But what really sucked was trying to make the accessories fit. So when I bought the car, I didn't get any accessory drive stuff with it. It wasn't included. So when I put the engine in the car and I put the turbo kit on the car, I tried to put the turbo kit on the car, the alternator bracket I bought was not going to work. So I'll show you what I used in this turbo kit specifically, how it's laid out, and how I made it work. How do I turn it off? What do I do? So you can see the turbo kit is flipped truck manifolds with V-bands welded. And that's actually my only concerns is the V-band setup on this. I'll jump back to that. But primarily, you got V-band truck manifolds flipped. Crossover is what you expect. Underneath the crossover, you can see this bar. They welded tabs on the frame. That bar crosses the whole frame from side to side. And that is what the turbo is mounted to. So turbo's on, crossbar's in, headers are on. And the factory LS3 alternator, it mounts low and away. And that was what was hitting on the crossover pipe right here. So I couldn't use that. So I asked the seller, super nice dude. He sent me pictures of the alternator mount that they used and to put the alternator over in yonder way. I ordered an ICT billet bracket for that. Unfortunately, the ICT billet bracket that I ordered put it into the shock tower, so I couldn't use it. So I went back to the drawing board, got back with ICT billet, and I ordered this alternator bracket on this side and their manual tensioner for that side. So super straightforward. All I needed to do was get their high mount truck style alternator mount and then their manual tensioner, and all of this stuff cleared, which was sick. Now you'll notice the downpipe comes obviously out of the turbo and goes out the bumper. What is kind of trick, and I hope it works, it's got a QTP cutout on it. And if you look, the downpipe has a 3-inch exit right there, which runs to the full exhaust all the way out the back of the car. So I flip that cutout, boom, I'm full exhaust, or I am bumper exit, which is nice because having a bumper exit sucks most of the time. Anyone that's like, dude, I love my bumper exit. Dude, my bumper exit sounds so good. I pull up to the stoplight and sit there. It sounds terrible. It sounds awful. It's terrible. It's awful. You drive down the street, you're an idiot. It sounds so dumb. And everyone's like, you're so soft, Logan. I'm like, you're soft, dude. Don't call me soft. You're soft. You're Charmin triple ply, bro. You're triple ply stacked up twice. That's 6 ply, bro. 6 times the ply. Soft ass. Anyway, I don't like bumper exits at all. So I'm glad that it has full exhaust. Other things that are done on the car. TH400 is mounted. PTC converter is obviously, I hope it's in there. Did I put the torque converter? I'm fairly certain I put a torque converter in it. Turbo kit's assembled. All the vacuum lines are ran. And the engine bay. So the engine bay turned out really nice for what I did. So this is the product of many hours of sanding and chipping away, and then buying Duplicolor spray paint in bright red, GM bright red, spraying it, and then buying 2K clear coat off Amazon and hosing it down with clear coat. So all my body shop guys that are out there like, that looks terrible, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to pay a few $1,000s to have someone repaint an engine bay. So that's my excuse. You're welcome. I think it looks okay. Still have catch can to mount, still have some other stuff to do. But the other thing I did was I cleaned up the wiring like crazy. If you remember, let me flashback to the wiring that was in this general area. Look at this wiring really quick. And this is what it is now. So I still have the main loom, but I rewrapped it in tested tape, and I routed all of the necessary stuff away from where it was before because it was just getting into itself. And then I came up through the core support and I redid the main crossover wire, the loom of it, and I got rid of all the unnecessary stuff that was in there and pinned it back and got it out of harm's way. The main power feed wire that goes to that stock up here, I don't know what you call it, stock pole, this pole position situation. This runs down and across, and it comes up through here, heat wrapped with the transcooler lines, and it goes to a main power lug down there. And you can see that P-clamp I put, that P-clamp is just there to keep that stuff hugged up and away from any heat, so that, God forbid, a transcooler line or something touches off on a header and it's bad news bears. But all that wiring has been cleaned up nicely, and all the extracurricular stuff has been removed from the harness. And I told you earlier to tell me when I talk with my hands, and I bet none of you guys are going to say nothing to me about me talking with my hands. So in the comments section, say something about it. This is ridiculous. You guys watch this? You watch me do this every video? And no one says anything. Come on, man. It also had a big vacuum block mounted up here, and that vacuum block was ugly and I didn't like it. So Vibrant Performance sells a nice billet one. That is what's down there, and that links the vacuum lines for the fuel pressure regulator. So it's a boost reference fuel pressure regulator. It also links the blow-off valve, as well as I have a map sensor output that I'm going to use as off of that block as well. In addition to, and as well as, vacuum block is used for map sensor as well, in addition to, and as well as, vacuum block is used as well as, in addition to. You can't see it because I'm an idiot and I put the front bumper on, but you see the transcooler, there's actually, they built a brace off the front. You can see the bar right here, this black bar, that runs all the way, it's a square. The transcooler is mounted to that, and it's also what the intercooler itself is mounted to. So the intercooler and the transcooler are all part of one bracket assembly on the front of the car, which actually turned out really trick. So there's some stuff on the turbo kit that I'm stoked about that I think they did a great job on. The only stuff that I wasn't stoked about was just cleanup stuff that's totally normal with builds like this. So overall, I'm extremely geeked on the way that this thing has turned out so far with the parts that I had and with the parts that were provided. It ended up slicker than snot on the back of a rhino, or whatever, analogy you can come up with. I know I didn't do a good job on the follow-up videos with this build, and I have a good reason, and it was because I was lazy and I didn't make videos. The other thing is, when you put something like this together, I don't know about anyone else, but you're in a garage, you kind of get in a zone and you don't want to stop and interrupt that flow. What I don't really talk about when I make any YouTube videos, I literally make the videos as I put the cars together, and I edit the videos as I go. So legitimately, like if I mount the intercooler, I film myself like, hey, I'm mounting the intercooler. And I put that into, and I use an app called Splice to make these videos. And I put that into the video that I'm making. And by the time I'm done working for the day, I have a video. This thing, I didn't do that. I was just too focused on trying to get it together, move on to the next thing on the list and go from there. Doesn't make for content, obviously. So my apologies there, but I'm sure no one lost any sleep over not knowing what was going on with the Trans Am build. So that being said, we're at a good place with the car. The only thing I'm waiting on right now is engine management. My goal is to use Haltech's new Rebel LS ECU on the thing. They're supposed to drop first quarter. I was told by little birdie when they might be coming out. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that so I get this thing done, running, probably sold. Because I got this thing, dude. Not the sweatshirts or the trash, but I got this thing. It's a Malibu, it's pretty sick. It's not a big deal, it's blue. It's pretty sick. Yeah. Short, to the point, like Rise Wiener. It's short and it comes to a point. And that's all I got today. I know, again, this is not like a enthrall. I wonder how many times I've literally said, this is not the most exciting video. Appreciate you guys for watching so much. Dude, stay blessed, stay up, one love. I hope I never said any of that. But either way, I do appreciate you guys watching. And just remember Team Logan over Team Rye, because I'm going to have a big block turbo car before he does. And he's had his big block like 6 more years than me. Sucks, bro. Team Logan. Yeah, it's number 1. Team Logan. Go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Team Logan. Bye. Team Logan on 3. 1, 2, 3. Team Logan for the win. Rye sucks.